welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. India sends essential goods to Sri Lanka amid deteriorating situation. Organic farming afforestation efforts improve river Ganga health in India's Uttarakhand. And Kirat community of Nepal celebrates New Year with Sakela dance. Let's begin the show. The second in-person Quad Summit provided an impetus to the Indo-Pacific Focus Security Alliance, which has been under the international media lens since the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine armed conflict. The leaders cleared the air around the growing speculations of a fallout in the grouping following contrasting individual instances vis-a-vis Russia. They reaffirmed Quad's commitment to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific and committed to further strengthen the multilateral platform in coming times.
The top leadership of the United States, Japan, India and Australia met in Japanese capital Tokyo for the second in-person summit to review the current progress of the Quad grouping, discuss the ongoing political developments and to lay out a future roadmap in the backdrop of the prolonged Russia-Ukraine war. The meeting that was scheduled weeks ago welcomed a new face in the name of Anthony Albanese, the new Prime Minister of Australia, who was elected just hours before the meeting. And like the previous meetings, this summit too focused at achieving inclusivity in the Indo-Pacific and upholding the principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity and peaceful resolution of disputes. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has consistently faced media scrutiny for the Indian government's neutral position in ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, highlighted the country's principled position on the need for cessation of hostilities, resumption of dialogue and diplomacy. Modi, apart from reiterating the grouping's commitment to a free Indo-Pacific, lauded the integrated efforts of the Quad, which he said were responsible for mitigating a number of challenges faced by the members in the recent past.
क्वाड के स्तर पर हमारे आपसी सहयोग से एक फ्री, ओपन और इंक्लूसिव इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र को प्रोत्साहन मिल रहा है। कोविड-19 की विपरीत परिस्थितियों के बावजूद हमने वैक्सीन डिलीवरी, क्लाइमेट एक्शन, सप्लाई चेन रेजिलियंस, डिजास्टर रिस्पांस और आर्थिक सहयोग जैसे कई क्षेत्रों में आपसी समन्वय बढ़ाया है। इससे इंडो पैसिफिक में शांति, समृद्धि और स्थिरता सुनिश्चित हो रही है।
The leaders took stock of ongoing Quad collaboration and their vision for the future. The Quad leaders committed to working closely with partners and the region to drive public and private investment to bridge gaps. To achieve this, Quad will seek to extend more than $50 billion of infrastructure assistance and investment in the Indo-Pacific over the next 5 years. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida shared concerns over the situation in Ukraine. He underlined in his statement that it wasn't just three, but all four leaders, including Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, were aligned on the importance of the rule of law, sovereignty and territorial integrity.
4首脳の間で、ウクライナ情勢がインド太平洋地域に及ぼす影響について率直な議論を行い、インドも参加する形で、ウクライナでの悲惨な紛争について、懸念を表明し、法の支配や主権及び領土一体性等の諸原則はいかなる地域においても守らなければならない、こうしたことを確認いたしました。
The leaders welcomed the gift of 525,000 doses of Made in India vaccines by India to Thailand and Cambodia in April 2022 under the Quad Vaccine Partnership. A Quad Climate Change Action and Mitigation Package, abbreviated QCHAMP, was announced to strengthen efforts towards green shipping, clean energy, including green hydrogen and climate, and disaster-resilient infrastructure. Several bilateral meetings were also held on the sidelines of the summit, where leaders exchanged their views at individual capacity to strengthen ties within the grouping. US President Joe Biden, in a reassuring tone, underscored that Washington wanted to deepen ties with India like never before.
Prime Minister, there's so much that our countries can and will do together, and I'm committed to making US-India partnership among the closest we have on earth.
Quad leaders also announced the opening of applications for the Quad Fellowship Program. The fellowship program will open the doors for 100 students across the 4 Quad nations to pursue studies in the States. The opportunity can be availed by students pursuing degree in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics learning. As per the observers, the meeting turned out to be productive, and there is certainly a way forward for the grouping. They believe the Quad has potential to curb threats in the Indo-Pacific and resolve all forms of disputes in the region.
Let's now shift our focus to Sri Lanka, which continues to struggle with an economic crisis. The island nation has already seen weeks of protests because of rising food prices and acute shortages of fuel. Amidst the ongoing crisis, Colombo's neighbour and a close friend, India, has sent essential goods to bring some temporary relief. Take a look.
Months-long economic and political turmoil in Sri Lanka is affecting all its sectors, be it education, health or small businesses. This has forced the people to continue their protests as they seek a way out from the current economic crisis. Its neighbour, India, has come to the rescue. Recently, an Indian ship carrying supplies of essential goods reached Colombo port. It has brought rice, milk and some emergency medicines.
Right now we have 9,000 metric ton of rice received here, 50 metric ton of milk powder and 23 metric ton of essential medicines which have come here.
The ongoing economic situation in Sri Lanka has almost collapsed the healthcare system of the country. The nation is facing a severe shortage of medicines at one of its biggest cancer hospitals. Doctors are saying that the crunch may lead to the death of some patients who could otherwise be saved. Doctors at the government-run facility have described the situation as grim. The shortages of vital drugs and critical supplies have forced them to suspend tests, postpone procedures and put off even critical surgeries.
Because as a government hospital, we depend on the government supplies. So sometimes even in the morning we plan for major surgeries which we may not be able to do it on that particular day as it is not there. So it will it's very bad for the cancer patient because the cancer will grow and has a bad effects on the patient outcome.
Since January 2022, when the economic crisis began, India has extended almost $3 billion to Sri Lanka. Indian currency swaps, credit lines for essentials and loan deferments have kept Sri Lanka afloat. India has also assured Sri Lanka that it will supply 65,000 metric tons of urea, as it is difficult for Sri Lanka to purchase fertilizer at market rates. Meanwhile, the talks with the International Monetary Fund have turned out fruitful, as the international body has assured substantial assistance to Sri Lanka.
Moving on, the government of India has given special emphasis on cleaning of Ganga, a transboundary river which flows through India and Bangladesh. Today we take you to India's Uttarakhand state, from where the Ganga originates, and work has almost completed to clean the holy river by efforts like promotion of afforestation and organic farming. Let's take a look.
Traversing thousands of miles through distinctive terrains and geographies, River Ganga is not just sacred but a lifeline to millions of Indians who live along its course. thus ensuring its sanctity and untainted fluidity becomes an unstated responsibility of all citizens. And in order to achieve this objective, the government has been tirelessly endeavoring for the river's conservation, free it of all contamination and rejuvenation with its tributaries. In what could be termed as an integrated effort to accomplish its mission, the National Mission for Clean Ganga or NMCG has roped in nearly all stakeholders under its flagship program Namami Gange.
As a part of that, we are now trying to take up a few activities. One of them is the natural farming on either side, 10 kilometers either side of the river Ganga. In Uttarakhand, we are focusing on that because since we have already taken up a lot of STPs, we would like to have the non-point sources, pollution sources like fertilizer from the agriculture and other industries not to flow into the river. So as a part of that, we want to encourage farmers to take up natural farming or organic farming, which means that we would like to discourage farmers from going for chemical fertilizers and go for natural fertilizers.
To protect Ganga from toxic insecticides and pesticides, the government appealed to farmers of Uttarakhand to adopt an alternate farming method. And today, just in a few years, the dominant form of farming in the region is organic farming. These farmers in Chamoli district of the state are being trained to produce biofertilizers and biopesticides independently.
2019 और 20 में नमामि गंगे के अंतर्गत हमारी ग्राम सभा गोलिम के अंतर्गत कम से कम 100 ड्रम, 100 स्प्रे मशीन और जैविक पिट प्लास्टिक के दिए गए। पहले हम लोग जो है गोबरों को जगह-जगह फेंक देते थे, नदी किनारे फेंक देते थे, जिससे हमारा नदी भी दूषित हो रहा था। और वर्तमान में हम उस खाद को जो है उस जैविक पिट में डाल रहे हैं, जिससे कि हमको अच्छा सा शुद्ध खाद मिल रहा है जिसका प्रयोग हम खेतों में कर रहे हैं।
A number of such small yet significant initiatives like this have provided twofold dividends to the farmers. The cost of production has come down to almost nil. The health of the soil has improved. The crop yields are satisfactory and the prices that farmers get for organic crops are higher. And not only are the farmers creating and consuming organic produce, but they have also been incentivized under the Organic Hut initiative, where the farmers can sell it without any hindrance. It has significantly reduced farmers' times and efforts they would invest in selling their crops.
ऑर्गेनिक में जो है सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि हमें जो है मार्केट रेट से हम जो है खुला जो है 30% ऊपर बेच सकते हैं मार्केट रेट से अपना सामान को। अभी सभी चीज़ मिलता है, मतलब दालें हो गई, सब्जी हो गई, स्पाइसेस, पल्सेस वगैरह सब हैं। और जैसे आपका ये प्रोला का लाल चावल हो गया, हर्षिल की राजमा होगी, चक्राता की राजमा होगी, जोशीमठ की होगी, मुंशियारी की होगी, सब चीज़ मिलती है। ऑर्गेनिक हाट के बारे में तो 2015 से मैं जुड़ा हूँ इसमें, और उसके बाद यहाँ जब हाट चालू हुई तो उन्होंने बताया तो वहाँ चालू किया हमने अपना सामान बेचना।
Another important component of Ganga rejuvenation is forestry interventions to enhance the productivity and diversity of the forests in headwater areas and along the river and its tributaries. A massive afforestation drive to preserve flora and the fauna, by and large protecting the Ganga basin ecosystem, has been taken up along the banks of its Ganga stream. Since 2016 to the year 2021, 10,016 trees have been planted under the following districts. Apart from this, the soil conservation and water harvesting projects too have revived the biodiversity of the region. Increasing space of biodiversity parks at Ganga river front has also improved instrumental in preserving the health and ecosystem of river Ganga. The quality of the water of river Ganga was already satisfactory in the Uttarakhand region, but combination of these efforts has further improved it. People say the current stream of Ganga is the purest they have seen in their lives. The government on the other side says the job is not done as yet, as it has to restore the original nature of the pious river, which can completely live up to the expectations of Uttarakhand's alternate identity Dev Bhumi.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Student unions in Nepal have taken to the streets to protest against the recent hike in the price of petroleum products and demanded the withdrawal of the hike. Demonstrators including Nepal Student Union, All Nepal Free Students Union, All Nepal National Independent Student Union and other student unions surrounded the office of the corporation recently and chanted slogans. The Nepal Oil Corporation increased the prices of petrol, diesel, kerosene and aviation fuel by Nepali rupee 10 per litre. Likewise, the price of cooking gas was increased by Nepali rupees 200 per cylinder. With the new price list, petrol cost Nepali rupees 180 per litre and Nepali rupees 163 per litre for diesel and kerosene, while Nepali rupees 166 per litre for domestic aviation fuel. The transport and airline industry may increase the ticket rates as per the auto pricing mechanism. Since this month, the government has allowed transport operators to revise fares if the fuel price fluctuates by Nepali rupees 5 per litre. North Korea's soybean factory continued to produce products under the state's emergency anti-epidemic policies amid COVID outbreak, state media reported. In footage provided by the North official agency KCNA, which Reuters cannot independently verify, factory employees and researchers were seen wearing face masks and working at the Pyongyang condiments factory, which produces soybean-based products. North Korea said on May 24 it was witnessing a stable downward trend in its first confined COVID outbreak, reporting less than 200,000 new patients with fever symptoms for the third consecutive day. Volunteers from various environmental organizations are joining forces to clean the Iraqi marshlands in Nasiriyah, collecting the waste thrown by visitors on eco-tourism visits. Their initiative comes as part of a month-long campaign initiated and supported by the French Embassy in Iraq with the aim of protecting the marshes. Omar Al-Sheikli, technical director of Iraqi Green Climate and one of the participating volunteers, said plastic waste further burdens the area amid a shortage of water and sandstorms that Iraq is generally suffering from. Iraq is the fifth most vulnerable country in the world to climate crisis according to the United Nations. Drought and extreme temperatures are drying up farmlands and making large part of Iraq barely habitable during the summer months. The country posted record temperature of at least 52 degrees Celsius in recent years. Gundam plastic car models are popular around the world. Their resemblance to real automobiles are commendable. A hobby show was held recently in Shizuoka Prefecture where these models were at display for the general public. Due to the pandemic, after 3 years, a large gathering attended the event. In 60th edition of the event, around 80 companies and 2 organizations exhibited their products. The Shizuoka Model Association is a group formed by Shizuoka-based manufacturers such as Tamiya Incorporated and more. They have worked hard to make Shizuoka city famous as model capital of Japan. When hobby shows began in 1959, Japanese plastic models did not compete to American products. Now, however, Japanese manufacturers produce most new products and their products are one of the best in the world with good performance, low cost and strong sales. In particular, Tamiya Incorporated has been developing various products, plastic models, radio control models and mini 4WD series. So it has been a forerunner among Japanese hobby manufacturers. Products have good performance and Tamiya also makes strong efforts to after-sale service. Tamiya, a firm based in the regional city of Shizuoka in Japan, aims to increase its presence and hold in the global market. An artificial intelligence exhibition was recently organized in Tokyo showcasing the latest advancements in technology. Software companies developing artificial intelligence exhibited their technology and inventions to guests and visitors hoping to grab a bigger business opportunity. The Japanese branch of NTQ, a Vietnamese company, mainly develops AI for cinema and image processing. It is a technology that analyzes the kind of bread by processing image of various shapes and color. AI technology recognizes difficult shapes of breads and cakes. This is Japanese chess, shogi. Heroes has been developing AI technology for shogi battle simulation before artificial intelligence became common. In Japan, shogi matches between professional human and AI is paid attention. With the world slowly transitioning towards digital transformation, artificial intelligence is creating and expanding opportunities for the future.
Moving on, there are different ethnic communities in Nepal who follow their own traditions, cultures and festivals. Today we meet people of Kirat community who recently celebrated the Ubhauli festival. They performed a Sakela dance to mark the new year. Have a look.
People of Kirat community came together to perform Sakela dance to mark the new year. Hundreds of them gathered in a ground to perform dance and pray to the Almighty. Men and women, clad in their traditional attires, greeted each other and celebrated the occasion by imitating the activities of different birds and animals. The festival also marks the beginning of the farming season and the arrival of summer. With the celebration of Ubhauli, upwards migration begins.
हाम्रो उभौली पर्व भनेको चाहिँ हामीले जुन अन्न बाली हामी सुरु गर्छौं त्यसलाई उभौली पर्व माथि जान्छ अनि त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामीले एउटा कुलपित्री अब हाम्रो देवाली हो यो है हामी सबै अन्न बाली कोदोको जाँड यताउति चढाएर आफ्नो भस विशाख पहिचान देखाएर आफ्नो मौलिक देखाउँछौं हैन मौलिक हक हामीले हक हित चाहिँ अब लिदै आइयो पहिला त्यस्तो थिएन अनि अहिले जुन जाति सबैको चाहिँ अहिले कुल पूजा हुन्छ नि हामी यो कुल पूजा कुल देवता हामीले सम्झेर हामीले उठान गरिरहेका छौं अनि हामीले जुन हाम्रो अब अहिले अन्नबाली छर्ने बेलालाई उभौली भन्छौं अब मंसिरे पुर्ने हुन्छ त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामी अन्नबाली काटेर ढुकुटीमा राख्छौं त्यसलाई उधौली मानिन्छ अनि अहिले अन्नबाली राम्रो फलोस् हाम्रो लालाबाला राम्रो पढोस् उन्नति प्रगति गरोस् भनेर हामीले यो गरेको छौं
Ubhauli is celebrated every year on Baisakh Shukla Purnima on the same day as Buddha Jayanti in the Nepali month of Baisakh. During this traditional ritual, they worship their ancestors and nature, seeking better wealth and crops. The Kiratis have a strong belief in their ancestors and nature. They believe that ancestors would get angry if they are not properly worshipped. Traditionally, the Kirat people used to climb up to the mountains in summer to avoid the heat after performing the Ubhauli rituals.
अनि यसको चाहिँ एकदम महत्त्व छ हैन पहिलादेखि नै अब बाजे जुजूले मानिरहेको अनि कति अब चाहिँ यो के रे हाम्रोको राईहरुमा चाहिँ अब कति चाहिँ यो अझै लोप हुँदै गएको पहिला हाम्रो काठमाडौँमा थिएन यस्तो हामी पहाडको मान्छे हो पहाडमा पहिला थियो हामी पहिला म 2000 यहाँ 45 सालदेखितिर आउँदाखेरि यस्तो हुन यहाँ डाँट्नु पनि दिदैन थियो हामीलाई वञ्चित थियो अनि अहिले आएर हामीलाई चाहिँ एकदम अब धर्मनिरपेक्ष भएपछि हामीलाई यो डाँट्नु भएको छ एकदम खुसी लागिरहेछ हाम्रो जातिहरु.
The rituals of Sakela dance are practiced in the same way as in the old times. However, the practice or trend of climbing up and down during summer and winter has been stopped these days.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.